Welcome, everybody. This is 3 Points of Light. Yeah, I'm always flying by the seat of my pants. You know I don't do anything normal kind of way. Okay. First off, thank you. Our guest this evening is Rhonda Fisher. Behave, you boys. That's it. Okay. Okay. All right. Enough. Children, behave. I'm going to block out the chat room. Okay. You know how this place works, everybody. Nothing is scripted. Everything is just. Okay. I'm not even looking at the keyboard. Love you all. All right. Okay. You see what I have to put up? You see what I have to put up, Rhonda? Okay. Our guest tonight is Rhonda Fisher. She is going to be interviewed by Brian. But before we get to Brian and Rhonda, Jennifer, say hi.
Hello, everybody.
I was going to say, unmute yourself, girl. Okay. Brian, say hi.
Good day.
I said say hi. I didn't say good day. Okay. And Rhonda, thank you for agreeing to come on and be tortured in our chamber. I'm kidding.
Yeah. Okay.
It will be an interesting day. All right. I'm going to hand it off to you, Brian. I am going to disappear and mute myself. I love you all. I'll see you in a bit.
Well, thank you very much, Mama. Do appreciate it. Beautiful intro, as normal. Well, tonight, folks, we've got a very good friend of mine, Rhonda Fisher. She's helped me many ways. I think, personally, I think she's one of the best that's going, as I've said many times to her, which... Anyway, Rhonda is exceptional at many things. You're not supposed to laugh. I'm lying here, but... Anyway, one of her major attributes, and something which got my Pauline very interested, was she does the singing bowls, and she had a broken one which prevented her from using them for a while, but they're all back together now. She won't be playing them tonight because it's just too much to set them up, and but I'm pretty certain that in the future you'll be going to her and having a listen, and she'll put them onto more Facebook pages and such. And believe me, absolutely wonderful. But anyway, Rhonda, welcome. Tell us about
you're
yourself.
so sweet.
Tell us about yourself, love. Where did you start this rock and roll journey of spirituality?
Well, as a child, I saw things and I knew things and I didn't know that didn't. It get me into trouble. I did turn off my gifts when I was young for a very long time. I still communicated. I just didn't tell anybody what I was hearing, seeing, knowing, doing. Then again, in my early 20s, happened, and I stepped away even further. When I turned 30, I started going full bore, straight ahead, and have reconnected in even more ways than I had previously. So I've been doing it for about 24, 25 years now, full on. I work with the Ascended Masters with the Angelic Realm. I work with several Native American guides, my own spirit guides. I also work with the Galactic. I work at other kinds of, and I do so. That's about it.
Okay, I'm going to butt in for a second here. Rhonda, slow down, sweetie. You're going a little fast. Don't get nervous. Trust me, it's chill. You have to relax. You're going to be stuck with us for 2 hours. Breathe, darling, breathe.
Yeah.
And because you're breaking up a little bit, so the slower you go, the less breakup you are going to have. Okay, I'm going to shut up now. Bye.
All right.
And Brian, stop talking so much.
Brian, I think you might be on mute there, hon.
Sorry?
Oh, there you are.
No, I'm there. It's all there. Just
Good.
playing up a shade. I might drop off of camera for a while and see what it gives then. So hold on, I'll try. Is that better? Can you still hear me?
Yes.
I see it's still breaking up. So, but anyway, the thing being is that she does many things. She does psychic readings. It's just beautiful stuff, and well, it's I'd like to know about some of your experiences that you've had of woken you up more, so that you look around and you think, I need to do that.
Well, I'm often communicated to one of the things that I is helpful when spirit in order to pray for different areas. That's been
Mama is going really bad.
one of them. I'm sorry?
Just saying to Mama, it's really breaking up.
What was that, Brian?
Darling, can you come
Can't
on?
quite.
I'm here. Okay, hang on a second. Okay, Brian, go off camera. Let's see what that can do, and stay off for a bit.
There you go.
Skype may not help, but let's see how this goes. Go ahead, Rhonda.
What am I doing?
You're being put on the spot by a crazy woman.
Okay. Is there a question, or do I start over?
Yep, start over. And if it doesn't work, what I'll do is I'll call in with Skype.
Okay. I have the privilege of working with spirit and traveling to heal the earth. I've been on several journeys, and on each journeys, I work with different groups of people or energies. A lot of it is indigenous energies. And I'm gone.
Yeah, your camera just shut down.
I can still hear you though.
Okay, we can still hear you, so don't worry.
Okay. I just got a call at the, in June, I went to a Children of the Light conference where I learned some new things. And then in August, I went to a Galactic gathering where I again gathered more information. And then I received a call to go up to Standing Rock in North Dakota, where I went and did some prayers and some energy and got some intention blessing the and to our water. What else would you like?
Okay, hang on a second, Rhonda. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try calling in with Skype, and then I will pick you up with Skype. So what we'll do is I'll mute you, and
Okay.
Brian, come back in and sing and dance. We'll take care of this.
Not a worry. Yeah. Okay, folks, I'm here. I hope you can hear me without breaking up. But one of the wonderful things I've found with Rhonda, to be quite honest, is I've got this attribute of being telepathic. I picked it up when I was very young. Didn't realise what it was because I assumed that everybody do exactly the same thing as I could. One of the things I did learn was to never tell lies, because I could always pick up on other people's thoughts, and consequently I knew full well if they were lying or if they were, their own thoughts were there all of the time in front of me, and I assumed naturally if I could do it, everybody could do it. So I learned from a very young age not to tell lies, and believe it or not, Rhonda does exactly the same thing. She had a bit of a rocky childhood as well, and consequently, we seem to have come up almost in parallel, which to me, she's one of the only people that I've found that does exactly that. Anyway, long story short, many times through the years I've been looking for people who can do the same thing. Seemingly Rhonda is one of the only ones. It's not necessarily an attribute, I can tell you. You've got to learn to be able to shut it off. You've got to learn to read between the lines and not comment. Let's put it that way. So it can be very difficult. Even when somebody comments on Facebook, for instance, you can read what they're really thinking. So, it does become a real challenge at times. You don't even need to talk to people to be able to jump in on it. And it gets embarrassing at times, but you do learn to keep your mouth shut. You do learn to moderate your conversation. You know full well that they might be living their own, or they are living their own life. And when they're living their own lives, that thing that they're thinking might be the only thing that's keeping them on the straight and narrow. So,
hello, Brian. Brian?
Anyway, I don't know whether Mum's come through yet, but...
Brian? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Okay, Rhonda?
Yes.
Can you hear Rhonda?
I can.
Right.
Does this mean I'm the only person that's going to be on camera?
No, Rhonda's camera gave out. Okay, hold on. I'll put my pretty face just on camera so you're not alone.
Darling's here. Hello, sweetheart. As I say, being intuitive is one thing. Being telepathic is a totally different thing. At the moment, I'm trying to study telepathy and psychokinesis. Something I'd like to be able to do is telekinesis.
Brian?
Yes, dear.
Okay. Rhonda's back. So you can ask her questions.
Rhonda?
You just want to be able to see her.
Okay. Anyway, Rhonda, tell us about your early experiences with telepathy. It's one of the things that's always fascinated me because it's how you've handled it. You've handled it through your life. Are you there, honey?
Well, to me, I didn't really know that it was. And then I would listen to teachers. You know, we had one in common. She wasn't necessarily my teacher, but it was somebody that we knew in common who said that telepathy is not real and that it's spirit guides speaking to each of you. I disagreed with that. Sometimes it's not really worth fighting. You hold on to your own knowledge. And when you have an opportunity to share that knowledge with someone else, you just give it openly and without expectation as far as how it is received or whether or not it would be rejected. That's really how I have to deal with it.
The thing is, really, Rhonda, in all honesty, you're exactly the same as me because you assume in your own mind that because you can do it, everybody else can. This is the frustrating part.
I think when I was young, that was true. But anymore, most people don't believe anything that we say. They also don't believe anything that they say, feel, or think. And so much mistrust in each and every one of our own lives. Really what we have to do is become trusting of our own selves and of what we receive, and then let everything else go.
Exactly.
Now when I do receive additional information or think it might be telepathic, I usually try to wait for a question to be asked or for a statement to be made.
Exactly.
Sometimes that actually means watching unfortunately. But there are times when, if I'm not paying close enough attention, that I answer a question, and people still tend to get upset by it, but I've also had to let go of that.
So you're lucky because you, like I, have found a partner that believes and knows what we can do. I know your husband, he's many times just turned around to you and just shook his head and said, I don't know how the hell you're thinking that, but you're right. And Pauline's the same. Sometimes she doesn't need to talk. That's what we find all the time. I think this is something that, well, I don't know whether it is a learned thing or whether it is particular to people or what. To me, it's just in your intuition that's opened up. So I think it's still another attribute that people...
I'm sure, right?
Say again?
I'm sure you're right about that, Brian. But one of the things, my husband and I worked for, well, we've been together for 25 years, married for 23. But it took us 15 years for him to be comfortable with this and with me. And until he was comfortable with it, I couldn't be comfortable with myself. And that's only been in the last 8 or 10 years.
It does take a time to sink in, doesn't it? And it's a very difficult progress because we've got to, teach and learn ourselves at the same time. As I said, to me, finding somebody else that can do it, and it's been such an awakening for me. Really beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. And that's another thing I really had to let go of. But when I find it, I'm so excited, just like you are. I've always said, there just aren't very many people like me. And it's difficult so often.
I'm fascinated by it at times because I think, really, if we've found this extra piece of a jigsaw puzzle, there must be so many more pieces to go. It's almost like waves coming in from the ocean, and you're delivered one little tiny piece now and again. I don't necessarily get messages direct from spirit, to be quite honest. But what I do get is astounding help from spirit, and it just goes on and on and on every day. Every day it gets better. I guarantee that you find exactly the same thing.
Does. And when you accept more, and you are given even more, after doing this for so long, I'm doing so many more things than I ever thought I would, or even allowed for myself.
Oh, I've told you before.
I found that...
Sorry?
Go ahead.
I was saying another one of the things I found, which I was telling you about, was ringing these electronic bells. I was doing that for quite a few years, and to a lot of people that is absolutely panicking. Oh my God, what else can you do? This is just another one of the things that human beings can do.
And once you can do it, yeah, it's true. And if you know who's calling before the phone rings, or know who's on the sidewalk before the doorbell, and who's going to come to visit, or you get a strong urge to call somebody who's just been injured, there's so many ways that we can communicate with spirit, and that spirit can help us. We have to remember, though, to ask for the help. And that's what we don't do very often.
I'm afraid you do tend to get tied up inside yourself. I do. Because of your own thoughts are racing all the time, you're going through and sifting out like the right from the wrong all of the time. You know full well where you should be going, but on the other hand, you still got to make that decision yourself, and nobody else can make it for you. I think this is one of the hardest parts of our particular little gift. Gift is
I agree.
So
I agree. We have to be.
Sorry.
We have to be willing to take responsibility for our learnings, and then also for our actions based on what we've learned.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they're trying to teach us now, so many people can do so many things, but so many of us are waiting on them. We're in a new phase now, and they are telling us to be the creators, us to make the decisions, us to choose what we want to do, and not to wait on them for the next direction.
Exactly. It's a very strange place because it's almost as though you're on another planet, and you can, I wouldn't say by any way, shape, or form that we're leaders. On the other hand, we're the adventurers, the people who are going forth and trying to find. It sounds silly, but I mean, how many other people do you know that can do this? I guarantee there's thousands of them out there. But on the other hand, none of them have even realised. They think, that's intuitive. Yes, I've got this intuitive thought, and they're working on sort of the wrong way, the wrong line. I have to try.
Hey, you hit a really key.
Breaking up.
Okay, Rhonda, can you hear me?
A gal saying, I don't know what to do. Street lamp, I put it out. Or it starts to flicker and my watch batteries die and my light bulbs burn out. And I just put to her that, honey, you're having, what I put to her something a doctor said to me years ago when I was having quite a fit. You are having a huge influx of psychic energy. Girl, please consider that you have a gift.
Magic stuff. You were saying, Mama?
Rhonda, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. We're still having a little bit of problems with the sound. Would you be able to call in through your phone, through landline or cell line?
Sure, I might be able to.
Okay. I'll give you the number in a private chat. Actually,
okay.
I don't say private. Here, there we go. Jenny just put it into 1-631-353-4342, and then they'll ask you for the number and 79097 when they ask you for the code or the show number.
What do I do with my headphones?
You take the headphones off. You'll be doing it by phone. Seven 79097, and then push 11, and then I have to find you.
I'm here.
Hello, Jenny. Little Jenny Satori. Magic stuff. Wonderful. We've got dead air. Please excuse me. I'll go nip out and get another smoke. You back, Rhonda?
I'm here. Me?
Oh, great. We didn't hear you.
Okay.
No, as
I have some reverberation. I hear from too many areas. What should I turn off?
I think Jenny's the best one to answer that.
Found on IntuiTalks. Okay. Got that.
Any better?
My volume.
Good day, Leo. How are you?
Okay, my volume is off.
Sounds real good.
Okay, awesome. Now I can hear you too. Isn't this good?
No, as I say, it's with the telepathy thing. It's one of these things that at the moment is an unknown. I mean, I can only do it at certain times if you're wound up or at the point where you don't want to be in a place, then you find it all shuts off. It's so controlled by your own mind. I found that right the way through. You tend to.
Yeah, I think that if you're connected to the conversation that you're in, you know, what a lot of the present day speakers are saying is to be in the present moment. If you're looking into the past or into the future, that's not where their current thoughts are, or that's not the actual living place of that telepathic vibration that you would be receiving.
Exactly.
So I think that it's about being in that present moment, to be really where you are and with whoever you're talking to, like you and I here now.
Yeah. Well, I think it's an attribute. There's more people who have got it than they really realise. You know, they put it down to, it's just intuition, or it's, there's so much more that's behind it. And then you start thinking to yourself, well, how many other things could we do? How many other things are there in our mind that we're not even looking at? You know, all the different things. I saw a program on TV a few weeks ago, and they were going on about, people thinking different ways, and because they think a different way, they can produce an entirely different lifestyle. And to me, okay, fair enough, it's only fiction on their part, but to my part, I began to think to myself, well, there could be so many more things that we haven't even touched on or thought of yet. And
yeah, have you ever watched a magician lay somebody across two chairs, and when they feel very comfortable across those two chairs, they remove the chairs and the person's still laying there in the air. Their mind is what's controlling their ability to stay levitated.
Yeah, but
we talk about the yogis and the gurus in the Eastern medicine. They sleep on beds of nails. They levitate, I don't believe that Jesus was the only one who ever walked on water. So,
no, but this is it. I saw one on there where this guy could actually produce enough power through his hands that he could give you an electric shock. Also, he could light fires with his hands and cure people. And I mean cure people, not just help them and treat them, but cure them. And to me, that is just beyond belief. The things that we could do.
That's right. And when I work with the Reiki energy, when the recipient and I are in that space of being very present, and they can keep their mind current, maybe deep breathing to bring them more present if they're focused on their breath, just like in meditation, then they can take a lot more healing than they would if they're talking about the injury of the past. We might be able to clear a little bit of it, but we don't clear as much. And that is, again, it's part of the focus of the mind. But, we are incredible beings.
Yeah, but talking about meditation, do you meditate still?
I do more meditation in driving. When I've got my focus somewhere, there are so many forms of meditation. People don't realize it's not just sitting in a quiet room, but it's driving, it's gardening, it's cooking a beautiful meal for your family, which I really don't do, thank you. It's gardening. I love to garden, and when I'm out there, when I'm in such a huge mood, I get moods, believe me. And when I go outside with my loppers and I trim trees or I go after bushes or I pull weeds, I get so much information. Because meditation is learning to focus and calm the mind. And when your mind is calm and focused on a task, and you receive information and you learn to actually listen to the information that you receive, then you are connected.
That's it, exactly. The meditation is only a way of teaching you to control your mind. And once you can do that, I mean, it is so beautiful because, you know, all the worries that people get in this world, you can just turn them off, you know, and don't worry about it anymore. It's just end of story. I mean, as I was saying to you last time I spoke to you, I never, ever feel angry. I never, ever feel, well, I don't even know what hate is, to be honest. It makes you sort of, you feel like a clear road inside your mind, and you can just float from one side to the other without any problems whatsoever. We have got the attribute to be able to pick up on other people's hurts, help them cure. I mean, I do healing as well. I don't do Reiki type healing, but I do ordinary spiritual healing. And I've found that even over the other side of the world, to be honest, without any problem at all, and it helps, and it is beautiful.
Yeah.
So,
well, we did a great deal of prayers against this huge hurricane that was just in the Atlantic, and it really did slow from a 5 down to a 3, and then it pretty much took a dive once it hit land, and there were just really dire forecasts for this monster here in the States.
If you ever get a chance, the book that I'm currently reading, I don't know whether you can see it, but this one, PK Man, is about a guy who used to do psychokinesis, and he reckoned that he could control the weather, and he was bringing on all sorts of mysterious storms and lightning and all that sort of stuff across America. Now, he says that he was going through what they call terrestrial beings, and they were helping him, and they were in a spaceship that was up in the air. You know, whether that be his cognizance of his life, or whether he was just putting that into his mind. This is the thing that you know, nobody really knows. He is, or was, he passed away in the 80s, but one of the only people who have been recorded of bringing on storms. How many more people can do it? And this is the thing. It's just another way of expressing what we can do.
Yes. I haven't seen that book. I'm going to try to look that up. I just saved it in my Amazon cart. I have actually, you know, have you heard of Greg Braden? He talks about to pray rain, and that's what the Native Americans do. They don't pray for rain. They pray rain. They feel the experience of it, and they expect it, and it comes. When I was driving, I live in the Midwest, and we got tornadoes here periodically. I was driving down I-80 in a town near here, and I saw some spouts. And I had just finished reading that book, and I just took my hand and I waved at it, and I lifted my hand up into the air. And as I did, the storm also lifted, and I pushed it away. It cleared. The unfortunate thing, it did hit somewhere else because I didn't completely dissipate it, but I did have effect on it. I also, you know, have been able to, standing at the waters in California, I was able to play with the water, and I was able to get it to play back with me. So I absolutely believe that has a potential for all of us.
Yeah, but this was the story of King Canute, wasn't it? And he always said that he could control the waves until he drowned. He came in and
Who was that?
This is it. King Canute. He was a mythical person who was said to be able to control the seas, and he said that he was to be put down on his throne right in front of the waves that were coming in, and he would control them and stop them. And seemingly, this is only a mythical story, but seemingly the waves came in and went right over the top of him and drowned him.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I wouldn't want to play with them in that much power. I mean, that's too much power to just play with.
Yeah.
But to experience it for a moment, it was a lot of fun. And then I found that there was one of the gals in the class I was taking, and she was watching me, and she said, "Oh my goodness, I watched that, and I saw that. And how did you do that?" And I said, "Oh, I was just playing."
Yeah. Exactly.
It was just fun. It was just playtime.
See, you're more advanced than I am, because to be quite honest, you tend to concentrate on things that aren't necessarily your path. Let's put it that way. I've always been concentrating on mainly on telepathy and on really healing. I think that's always been my particular thing. But if by opening your mind and moving to other things, which I'm going to try soon, I mean, we've got enough time left, let's put it that way. But sorry?
I think that's a big part of it, Brian, is if you find something, and, I am able to do a huge amount of things, but I don't master them because I'm what some people say. Eric has told me, "Oh, you're always on to the next thing." It's probably true. Meditation, tried that. Now I'm going to do something else.
Yeah,
I do get a lot of visions. I don't drive at night because I see too much at night, and I really have a lot of trouble telling what is real and what is not. Well, everything is real. Okay, so what is physical and what is not? I hear somebody in the room. Everything's real. Okay, but what is physical and what's not physical? What's physical and what is spirit? Now, if I went and drove over a spirit animal, that's not going to cause me too much trauma. But what if it's not spirit? What if there's something else there? Do you want to hear something really funny?
Go for it.
Okay, I was driving. I'm going to put my stones down now. Thank you, Scott. I was driving in Minnesota, and I was in my minivan, and my daughter was she was in a gymnastics nationals competition out in Minnesota, and we had gone to the Mall of America. Driving back along the highway, I had said to my friend before getting in the car, "I'm not going to drive because I don't drive at night." She says, "That's fine, I'll drive." And then getting into the car, I was told, maintain control of the vehicle. It was very, very strong warning. I just looked at her and I said, "I guess I'm driving." She looked like, "Whatever, let me know if you change your mind." Not very far down the road, I had this experience that a horse and rider coming right at the side of my van. I hit my brakes and I was terrified. We're on an interstate here, and I've got my van full of my kids and my friend. And behind that horse, as it steps through the middle of my car, are two more horses. Well, they were not physical, but I didn't know until after I had, until after they didn't crush me. Yeah, well, it's right. Jenny, that's funny. Whoa. Anyway, just directly ahead of us, and only seconds later, there was this massive pileup on the interstate, which we were not in because of that horse and rider and the fact that I had hit my brakes and swerved, If it weren't for that, and me hitting my brakes like that also slowed down all the other traffic that was behind us, who knows what could have been if that had not been the case.
Yeah, now, tell me, is that spirit or is that you? And this is what
spirit.
I always... Yeah, this is it.
That
exactly.
is definitely spirit. That is the help of your angels and guides. That's the help of your ancestors. That is very much non-physical beings stepping in to keep you and everybody else in your vehicle and on the highway safe.
Yeah.
If you are willing to listen. Yeah, if you're willing to listen, they can help you.
Hmm.
And I don't drive at night. I told you that. I don't drive at night, but they said maintain control. If my friend had been driving, she wouldn't have seen that horse. We'd have been in that accident. I know that without having to go back and relive it.
Spirit has got so many ways of showing us. I mean, one time I was telling Mama D, I was going to work. I had a big agency in South Australia, and I was all ready to go to work. Got in this 6-month-old diesel van. Everything was perfect. Put the key in and turned, started the vehicle, and nothing, absolutely nothing. It was as though the whole battery system had been taken out. So I checked it through, and I knew all about the van, and nothing at all. Anyway, my daughter went out and made a cup of coffee, came back in, and she said, "It's ready, Dad." And I said, "Well, let's give it a bit of time." I went inside, drank the coffee, came out, stuck the key in the lock, started it, boom, no trouble. It was though nothing was ever wrong with it. Took off, and we was 20 minutes late, which meant I didn't open my shop until, 20 minutes afterwards. Turned out to be a lot longer because major highway, Port Wakefield Road, there'd been a massive smash up there 20 minutes before, and 2 people were killed, 3 vehicles involved. If I'd have left at the right time, I would have been right in the middle of it. So,
yeah.
As I said, this is it. Spirit, whatever you want to call it, stopped the vehicle from working. But, how can you prove it? How can you ever prove it to anybody? These are sort of things that happen all the time to me, and I know they happen to you as well. So.
Yeah. Well, they happen to a lot of people. So many people in this room will be able to say that something similar has happened to them. It might not have been a horse and rider. It might have been a vehicle that didn't start, or a reason that they had to go back in the house and they escaped some kind of injury because of being late for something. We hear about it all the time.
That is why I've come to the conclusion, in all honesty, it doesn't matter what happens in your life, it is meant to happen. So consequently, you just float through. Mama, I keep on seeing you wave your hand and you yourself. So did you want to say something?
No, I'm not waving my hand.
That's cool. Anyway, as I was saying, there's so many things that do happen that people just put down to, oh yeah, that's sheer coincidence. Oh, it's this. I don't believe in coincidence. I don't believe that 90% of the things that happen, people say, oh well, yeah, that was because of, and they make excuses. To me, everything that happens in my life is meant to happen. Once you accept that, I think it becomes a lot easier.
Well, and there's also the point that what happens is going to be a lesson. Either you listened when you were guided in one direction or another, or you didn't. I could have let my friend take the wheel and ignored my instructions to maintain control of the vehicle. That would have been my decision. I don't think everything is predetermined. I do believe that there are synchronicities, things line up, and you can make a choice in one direction or another. If you choose to take the long way around a certain lesson, you will come back around to it. I believe that very strongly. So I guess I'm probably not quite with you on that one, in that there are so many ways to change a path.
True. That is true, but I don't know. I've always thought to myself, it's meant to be life, but maybe I'm wrong. I mean, who's right? I don't know. Who can say? Who's there to judge?
Right.
It's trust. it's purely trust. I think, spirit to me has always been there with me. There is no exception to that rule. So whether it be, right or wrong, whether I'm, I might be talking up a tree.
And just like Gigi is saying, there is no wrong. There's just a different lesson or a different door or a different way of looking at something. It's perspective. But it's not wrong.
No, not at all. I mean, if you're doing something and you shouldn't be doing it. This you do know 100%.
Agreed, but it's also going to be a lesson.
Yeah.
What happens when you do something that you know is wrong? Do you pay the consequences now? Do you have the sort of karmic setup that says, I'm going to get away with a whole lot and I'll pay for it later, or maybe I paid for it with my last lifetime and I have a free pass? I do not believe in free passes, by the way. But somebody out there must. Too much is happening.
I think, in all honesty, if all of us were to get together and really concentrate on what do you want to call it, a meditation or an outputting from us.
Prayer.
Prayer, even. Well, this is all different things. I'm not really into the prayer thing, I'll be honest. But
that's okay.
It's our thoughts. It's our thoughts. Our thoughts are being sort of focused into a certain position. And, once you could do that, I think we could turn this nasty thing that's happening right across the world. I think we could definitely have a control on that. Hopefully, anyway.
Yeah. Concentrated focus.
Yeah.
Prayer. I think, and meditation. I think a lot of them are the same ball in a different wrapper in so many ways.
I think this is where healing comes in, because, I was always taught, my grandmother taught me healing when I was 8 years old. Yeah, will do, mate. I'll try that, Eric, but I don't think it'll work. I've tried it before.
Eric, send me your money. I'll make that call.
Send the money first, Eric. Send it first. Yeah, but as I say, my grandmother taught me healing, and because hers was, well, my grandmother's family all came from Ireland, and they were used to go around with the horse and cart thing, and doing healing and all the snake oils and so on and so forth. But she was extremely good at being able to pick up from people, as was my mother, but my mother would never ever admit to it, and I used to get punished severely for using it.
Yeah, me too. We talked about the fact that if Mom wanted me to give her some information in front of a friend or something, and I was right, and her friend liked it, I was praised, and if her person did not like it, then I would get a beating.
Yeah.
So it was very conflicting, very confusing.
Well, this is one of the things that put me right off of it, right from the start. I mean, as I say, I didn't use my gift until, I should say, 40 years ago. That's when it all really started to burst out. And more so when I first met Pauline, which was 12 years ago. So, that's when I felt
such a beautiful lady.
Oh, she's gorgeous.
Smile when I think of her.
No, she's the light of my life, I can tell you. But as I say, it wasn't until then that I felt absolutely free in my mind to be able to do these things.
Yeah.
And because she's always there to assist me. She's spiritual in her own way. She does, she's come up with some things which absolutely rocked me at times. This guy came round one night for a client. Anyway, I was doing a reading for him. And he said, trying to desperately remember the name of this particular guy. And Pauline just walked into the room, looked at him and said, Robert. And just carried on walking through. She's so intuitive herself that it is unreal. But she just wants to be able to sit back. She doesn't like coming even on camera or on screen or talking about it or anything. So
yeah.
Beautiful stuff. But as I say,
yeah, it is.
It's really opened her eyes and my eyes. I mean, most of our family are very apprehensive about spiritualism or what we can do. And at times you do feel very lonely. Well, it's wonderful to find another person that can do it.
Yeah, I understand that. When I found that people, see, one of the things that happened to me 20 some years ago was that when we moved to Nebraska, I had just gotten my real estate license, and a lady came to my yard sale, which was also a birthday party, and she came to the yard sale and she asked me to show her a house. She didn't really want a house, but she needed to give me some information on a teacher that she didn't care for but knew I needed to meet. Anyway, long story short, this teacher was able to allow me to open up again in a safe way and understand what it was I was seeing, hearing, feeling, all the things that I knew. And she was able to teach me that I wasn't a freak, and other people were able to really express themselves in the same way.
Mm.
So it made me feel safe in order to do so. My husband and I, at that time, he had a previous marriage, a hyper-religious woman. He did not want that to go that way again. We moved into the town where we're at now in North Platte, Nebraska, very much the middle of the country here in the States.
Yeah.
We had some things, he was scared. He's afraid of ghosts. And, if an alien landed on the lawn, he'd climb in, ask for a ride, demand to be taken somewhere. But if it was a ghost, he would go hide under the bed. My poor honey.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, is that I had started to open up, and I wasn't going to let anybody ever shut me down again.
Exactly.
So he was making fun of me, and I walked over to the front door of our house, and I opened the door, and I said, I love you, and I understand if this isn't someplace you can go. I am going. And I walked away from the door and just left it open there. And that, to me, was significant in that I opened the door for him to choose whether to stay, but that I also made my decision that this is where I was going and that I was okay with going here, even if I had to do it alone with our children.
Well, so my ex was the other way. She used to say, her comment on anything I used to do, she used to look at me and say, "You're bloody weird. You're weird."
I hear that now and then, and it doesn't bother me anymore because I know that he is now okay with it. But it did take years to get to that point. And I really did think that was going to be the case. I really had to steel myself against that possibility and also be willing to go there. So I really understand where you're at and where so many people are. It seems that so many times when we go on this journey, we have to do it alone.
Yeah,
and I am so fortunate that I didn't have to do it alone, that he didn't make that choice. And you ended up meeting Polly, who can go with you on the journey.
That's it. It's exactly the right time, right place. As I say, everything was wrong up until that particular time. And it was as though my life really from there to there overnight. And it's just absolutely brilliant,
And what an incredible blessing.
Oh, yeah. We've never had a disagreement, I'll be honest, in the 12 years that we've been together. And,
I can't say the same.
No, honestly, what's more important in your life?
Yeah.
Happiness is everything. Let's face it, what do you take with you when you go? You don't take anything, so is there anything that's worth arguing about? That's the way I've always looked at it, and I think it's a different way of doing things. But
No, and I think that my husband and I were both in agreement as far as that was concerned. There was nothing worth taking, and besides each other, and we were able to come to terms. So
it's a beautiful way to be. I love it. As I say, the different attributes that people have got. I like to call it attributes, because I'm trying to get away from this gift idea, because it's not something that's given to you; it's something that you've got. So an attribute
really, that's true. That is, yeah. I feel like there's somebody in the chat room that has a pretty big question. Do you mind if I just shout out and say, hello, who wants that?
I'm afraid I'm
we can talk
with the questions.
Yeah. Well, it's so fun just talking, though, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No. Things like for self-gain, as Eric was saying about getting the numbers for the lotteries and all that business, I've tried at different times, naturally. Yes, one of them that I did, Pauline went down and cashed it in, and I won about $84, in all honesty, but I didn't deem it important enough to try even more. I'm presently getting into the cards side of things. I'm just over the 50% correct side at the moment, which I suppose really 50% is you're right or wrong. So it does make a lot of difference with your mind, and this is what I'm trying to concentrate on. But at the moment, there's been so much going on in here, around my little life, that I haven't had a chance to concentrate.
Yeah. I've tried many times. There are some cards: square, circle, triangle, star. I can't get those right. I think I'm blocking myself for some reason. I ask myself, what is it that I don't want to know or that I don't want to acknowledge in getting them pretty much 100% wrong, which is pretty miraculous in itself. 50% right is a really great average, but 100% wrong?
50% wrong. 50% right is the opposite of 50% wrong, isn't it? Let's face it. So
no, but I got 100% wrong. So I'm 100%. Eric's asking, what's the difference between spirit messaging and telepathy? I believe, and this is something that most of the class where we were all together did not believe in the same manner that I do.
The thing being is,
telepathy is mind to mind, and it's me listening to what's on your mind, or hearing a conversation before it begins. And I don't think it's spirit telling. I don't think it's your spirit guide telling my spirit guide to tell me something. I think it's me hearing from you directly. I try not to do it very often because I don't think it's necessarily right, especially not with that informed consent. Spirit messaging is from my spirit guide or from another being on the other side. Some people will say no, it's not psychic intuition, because psychic intuition you pick up very much from a person or from an object, but I don't read the mind of the object. I get information from an object about the person who holds it, but it's not exactly the same thing. That's more in that psychometry.
Yeah, when somebody you're talking to them, or not talking to them, you're listening to them. Now, there's no interaction between you and that person at all, but all of a sudden you start picking up their real thoughts. And whether it's a lie or whether it's the truth, you know exactly. And I can't see that coming through spirit, because, that whole thing will be too fast. It's, let's put it this way, it's arguable, Eric, and I've got no way of proving it, nor have you. And consequently, it's your belief that it is spirit that's messaging you. It is my belief that I'm getting it direct. That's just, it's just one of those things. You say I'm wrong, prove it. I say you're wrong, I should try and prove it. Honestly, we don't know.
Hey, let's not get into a battle of wills here, boys.
Hello, Corrine. How are you, love? Yeah, as I say, many times I've tried it. Spirit does come. Spirit helps me all of the time, 100%. Whether it is anything or they've got any interaction with my telepathy, I don't know. I've not been able to get that information.
Yeah, and then other people, I don't know if you've ever tried spoon bending. I have not.
No.
But I have played with a candle flame. So, and I know that's energetic, and it's a little bit more mind waves. I don't really know how it works. Play with water, play with the, everything is energy. So to play with the flame on a candle, to play with the leaves on a tree, I think that's a little bit more in the telepathy. It's one of the more telepathic gifts.
Well,
but I haven't really studied it a lot.
Yeah, telekinesis, that's the part on the old spoon bending and that business, but that is really putting your mind into that particular object, from what I gather.
I think so.
I've had no... Let's put it this way. Okay, now, years and years and years ago when I was in London, I used to go around and do the... I was working for a factory. We used to manufacture shoes, and we had these massive, great 1,000-ton plastic injection machines. There was 2 Jamaican guys used to take the night shift through, and one of them phoned me one night at 2 o'clock in the morning and said, "Brian, one of the big girls won't start." So I climbed on a motorbike and drove down there and got in there, and I was at the time full of spirit thoughts. And I walked in the factory and I said to him, "Okay, Joe, which one is it?" He showed me the machine, and I just walked up there and put my hand up onto the moving pattern and just concentrated on it for half a minute. Took my hand away. I said, "Okay, Joe, close the gate." I mean, these things, the gate itself is 6 foot long by about 4 foot high, and he closed the gate and the whole machine burst into life. Now, how is it? Is it a control? You just don't know. I used to work for Levi's over here in Adelaide, and the times we used to get called out, twin needle machine, doing side seams on a pair of jeans, and it was breaking on the right hand side all the time. I used to just walk up, put my hand on top of the machine and say, "Try it now." And all of a sudden she put her foot down and she was flying through them, absolutely flying. So well, it was unreal. I'll be honest, I walked away, and it must have been about 6 hours later. Brian, that machine's gone again. Now, is it me? Is it spirit that's looking after it? Or is the ability of the machine coming into being? Don't know. It's all things that leave you wildly guessing about all these different attributes that we have. And I say again, attributes, not gifts. So that's something I've found all the time. So.
Yeah, and when I need help with my computer, I just say, "Archangel Michael, please help me." Or with my car.
I had to do that this morning when I was trying to get on, and Mama wanted me to send a picture through, and I was thinking, how the hell do I do this? And anyway, I just sat back, made myself a cup of coffee, came in, sat down again, and it was done.
Yeah. When we first started learning to work with, this is going to be an example of how spirit is working with us. We were trying to work with cameras, microphones. I was very much new to the whole internet chat and radio and everything. So what I had done is I had set up my computer. I checked my camera. I got my speakers working. I got my microphone hooked up, and I had to, go out and buy all of the different parts because my computer was older. It didn't come with all of it. And I was sitting at the computer talking to a gal. I had my camera on, and Spirit wanted to learn to use the computer with me so that they could be more involved in this process. Now, my camera on my computer started zooming in and out, going left and right, and it actually went around the corner of the room in a place that there's no chance that the camera could have gone. I had my hands off of the computer. I was just talking like you and I are, only it was on a video chat. So Spirit did that. That was one day. The next day, they took out my speakers, and the following day, they messed with my microphone, and I told them, I said, look, if you're going to keep doing this during my shows, then I'm not going to work with you on this. We'll have to get somebody else in here. And so it stopped messing up quite so badly. But today when I came on, all of you know that my energy was pretty high, and my computer was not working extremely well. And neither was my sound, just because I was affecting it. That was me affecting it, as opposed to Spirit affecting it.
Exactly. I've done much the same thing.
Night, Eric.
Oh, Eric, am I easy? Hi, Eric. Have a good one, mate. Catch up to you, Eric, later on. Yeah, I was working for, Karen was doing plastic injection machines there, and everything there is caged, so as people can't put their hands into all the robots and all the other stuff. And I had to take off a cylinder. I told myself, well, I can do that over the top of the cage without any worries to myself. Anyway, I couldn't see what I was doing, but I could feel, and I undone the big nut on this cylinder and pulled it out, repaired it, put it back in again, and went to do the nut up, and the nut wouldn't turn because the steel at the side of it was in the way. And I'm thinking, well, how the hell did I get it off? I couldn't get it on. Now, anyway, we had 6 engineers at Crime. As you know, we used to make all the toilet accessories, and toilet systems and all that bathroom rubbish. Anyway, the engineers came down and they actually shut the machine down and walked inside the cage, and they said that there's no way you could have taken that off. I said, all right, there it is. You put it back on again. And in the end, I literally had to spin the nut down to a circle so as I could actually just put grips on it and put it in. But this is it. You never know how these things are going to go. It's beyond belief. But as I say, that was one of the things that I did prove, the fact that you can do things that are impossible. And nobody really knows what it's all about.
Right. But the answers I gave were very specific. This is what Spirit did, and this is what and the other is what I did. I messed up my computer today. When Spirit took over my camera and microphone, that was very obvious that it was Spirit. I did not make my camera do all kinds of weird things.
But this is it. I mean, how can you explain it? People say, I've heard stories like that before, and you get all this, all these sort of remarks coming through. And it is hurting at times. You tend to pull back and not tell people about it and, plod on that way. I think really it's more a matter of, be your own counsel. So that's the way I found it,
That's possible, yeah.
Yeah, I know these things work. I know that, what is correct and what is incorrect. As I say, I cannot tell a lie. I'm exactly the same as you, because and I've thought all my life that people can do exactly the same as what I can do. So consequently, if you tell a lie, they're going to know it straight away. I won't do that. It's got to be the truth and the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
Right, and I think that our whole world is going more to that direction. They say that in the next days, and that doesn't mean tomorrow, but in the next days, that all people will become telepathic, and that we won't be able to lie to one another any longer, because we will be
mind to mind.
Right, mind to mind, heart to heart. And it's like when Jesus said, I look to the heart, I look to your heart, I don't listen to your words, I look to your heart. This is what's meant. It was checking in to see whether or not your words matched your frequency, your vibrational integrity. Are you telling the truth? Are your words matching what your feelings are or your heart?
It is a very, very difficult situation, I'll be honest, but I've always worked it okay because, as I say, when someone tells me a lie, I can pick on it and I just accept it and think, well, you know, if that's what you want people to think, that's your problem, not mine. But because I don't react to their lie. And I think this is where discernment comes in. You know, you have to be able to discern whether or not you do believe them. You know when they're lying, so consequently you think to yourself, well, there's got to be a reason for them saying that. I'm sure you found exactly the same thing.
Well, and I don't necessarily need to call them out. I just know not to rely on what they're saying.
Yeah, that's it.
So, Scott, let's see, Scott asked a question. How does free will figure into that, though? And I don't know what question that's in regard to. So we'll wait for him to type something else on there.
Yeah, good idea.
Okay. But yeah, if somebody's, well, I've got a very good friend, and somebody says, well, she's not a friend if you can't trust her. I said, well, I do trust her. I just know when not to listen to her.
See.
You know, or not to count on what's being said, because if telepathy comes to everyone, what will free will? Well, you're still going to have a choice, Scott, of telling the truth. Most people don't really know even what their truth is, and so we're going to really have to free our own minds in order to come to that phase.
Some people do lie purely to help themselves because they feel unsafe or what they're, what they're thinking.
Right.
Found that many times.
Yeah, and I don't know that that's part of free will, but it is definitely part of, that self-protection.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
It's to be honest, it's something that we've got used to over many years. You look back and you think, well, maybe this has gone wrong in their life and that's their protection. Maybe they're doing it because they don't want people to know, or they feel ashamed of what they're doing. You know, you tend to. I know I do. I don't know whether what's my name does, Rhonda does, but you feel as though you're interfering anyway, and why should you be the judge of what that person is either thinking or feeling? There must be a reason. And I think this is what we tend to do. We make excuses for people. Mama and Jenny, you said nothing for the last almost 2 hours. I think you better get your revving up gear going.
Well, you guys were doing so well. I just kept my mouth shut and let you run. Usually you're the one sitting in the back and we're the ones talking. So tonight, we talk.
Oh, well, I don't like to push myself forward, you know me.
Yeah, that's what I'm pushing you forward for anyway.
I know you told me that last week.
I'm going to keep on doing it too. I know you can do it, so you did a good job tonight.
That's why I picked on Rhonda, because I knew she was the same as me, and I knew full well that it would be a fantastic evening. Let's put that way.
Yeah.
Hey.
If anybody has any questions in the chat, type them up. Come on, don't be shy.
Hey,
Scott's not the only one who can talk. Yeah, I know he's good. But all the spiritual gifts, awakening, etc., that is snowballing. Yet people still choose to ignore, refuse. So by making us all telepathic, that's something that's been done to us, not for us.
I think that what's going to be happening, Scott, when I say it's going to happen in the days to come, but it's not going to be tomorrow, that's because we're going to have to come into a common acknowledgement of it. It's like, oh my God. Okay, hang on. Jenny, I see like plates like flying across the room. It's more. She says this, and I'm like seeing plates like flying saucers. Har har har. Oh my God, it's so funny. But I literally could see that. Have you ever seen like, oh my God, I just keep seeing like, it's a joke. It's a spiritual joke. Do you work with the galactic energies at all, Jenny? Tori? Okay, so that flying saucers is a direct link to whoever you're working with. And they too will be part of who's in your kitchen, spirit rattling things, trying to get your attention. So yeah, that flying saucer, I have to tell a story. I'm sorry. Scott, I promise I will get back to you, but I have to do this because they're like, wow. So I was in Sedona, and I was told that if I go to Sedona, I can't read this chat and still keep my mind focused. I was in Sedona, and I was told by my teachers in the galactic world, specifically these were going to be Pleiadians, and they said, if you'll come out here, they were trying to entice me, we promise to show up, and we will make our presence so obvious that you will not be able to doubt. And I said, well, I don't doubt. And they said, just test us on this. And I'm like, okay, yeah, fine. And so I go out there, and I'm standing on the front porch of this trailer in this area out there. Actually, I'm about 10 miles south of Sedona in this really cool area where there's lots and lots of saucers. You could literally see them. Well, I could. So I'm standing on the front porch, and all of a sudden I see this like teacup on a saucer upside down. You know how you go into a cafe and you'll see the teacup without a handle, or a coffee cup on a saucer? Well, I literally see a coffee cup on a saucer, or a teacup on a saucer, and it's got a doorway in the middle where the handle would be. And I'm like, I started laughing, and I laughed really hard, and I'm like, oh my God, that's so obvious. And they just went bam, and they were just disappeared. And I'm like, no, please, stay. I'm sorry. Please, come back. And they didn't. I think I insulted them, and I felt terrible. But when I see flying saucers, that's my moment. So, Jenny, if you haven't seen one, keep looking. All right. Scott, I don't remember what you said. Something about free will coming into play. If they're giving us all, they're not giving us anything. We already have it, just as Brian stated. These are not gifts. They are not.
They're attributes.
Given only to one, but not to another. They are already part of who you are. A gift would be, okay, well, I like you, so I'm going to give you this little purple present, and somebody else can have the plain, boring brown one. Mm-hmm. These are beautiful awarenesses that we already have. I can't think of the right word. I know Brian said it. What was
attributes.
it? Attributes. They are beautiful attributes that we already have. We are so incredibly blessed. Only we doubt. And when we begin to believe and to acknowledge, and then we begin to receive even more, the whole world is going to come into a, yes, we will choose to use and develop. And when it becomes more popular, when it becomes an agreed upon happening for all people, not just the psychotics out there in the mental institutions like myself and maybe Brian, you know, it used to be a time when we would have been burned or hung or institutionalized and given electric shock treatment. We are no longer there. We have moved past that point. We have moved forward, and we are now speaking openly in groups. That's not something that could have happened before.
It couldn't.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
So
definitely.
as we all choose to use and develop these gifts or attributes, we will become more in tune, we will become more allowing, and we will naturally become more developed one to another. It won't just be one person saying, oh, come to me for a reading because I know everything. It will be everybody knows and has access to everything, and we will no longer be able to lie to each other. We will see the heart of each person
but it's got to come in slowly, and this is the thing.
It will take time.
It will take time, but I mean, if it took 200 years, what's that to spirit? I mean, to spirit.
Yeah.
Sorry, love. Darlene, you were saying?
Night, Donna.
Oh, Donna, yeah.
Good night, Donna.
That's you, babe.
So does that help you, Scott?
Hi. Can you tell he's a Scott? My Scott the Scott.
Yes.
Oh yeah, he's the Scott.
We know Scott.
Scott.
I know Scott.
Boy, Nate. Kilt. Okay, so anyway, your question got me very excited, but the spaceship also did, so. Okay, now I'm relaxed, guys. It only took an hour and a half.
I don't know. How long have we been on?
An hour and a half?
An hour and 20 minutes. Let's not get technical now.
Okay.
There you
So.
go. It's something that, to be quite honest, up until the time that I came into this particular room, you know, Jenny says, his influence, I could never talk to anybody about it. I was always shouted down and told that, no, it's not you, you know, it's spirit that's doing it, end of story, you know, and it makes you wonder, because then once you start to test out these things yourself, then you realise that it's there in your mind. And of course, once to be honest, I was scanning one day and I got through to Rhonda, and I realised that she was exactly the same. In fact, more so than I am, because she can pick up a lot more than I can. So suddenly realised that I'm not alone in this world, and it is beautiful, believe me.
No, you're such a sweetheart. And Brian, I know you can do so much more when you are willing and when you are ready.
Agreed.
And I know that you'll call me, so I'm not concerned about it at all. So no worries.
No, it's, you know, to me, it's the lifting of the veil, to be honest. That's the only way I can put it. You know, all of a sudden, I've suddenly realised that, you know, I'm not a nutter. I'm not.
Well, part of it's going to be when you feel completely safe in doing it, like talking this openly today.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It is, absolutely. As I was saying to Darlene earlier on today, I went to a party last night, and it was unbelievable the amount of people that are interested in spiritualism and the things that you can do. And I could literally go around the room and pick people who are telling fibs or lies or whatever you want to call it. Some of them were doing it on purpose, and it was really good. It was a good test, and I always felt absolutely ecstatic. Lovely.
I've never done a party.
Oh, well, I didn't do it. It was next door. People next door. They had it was a birthday party, come celebration for something else.
Okay.
And as I say, there was all her friends that were there, and I think she's 50. She was 50 yesterday, day before, one or two. But it was beyond belief, absolutely, because all of her friends are around about that age, and that's really the starting of a lot of people's spiritual life. You know, when they can actually have got rid of the kids and they can sit back and do their thing.
Oh, I think that's when people also decide that other people's perspective is no longer more important than their own, when they can begin to open up spiritually.
There was one young lass there, and she was only, I think she was about 13. She was the daughter of one of the ladies that were there, and she has been diagnosed as got some mental problems. Anyway, seemingly her mother told me that she could not read or write, or she was only sort of interested in things that she could do with her hands. Well, the daughter, believe it or not, came to her, and I went to her, and all she was interested in, or one of the major things, was woodwork. And I just said, well, she will be an artist and she will do lots and lots of carvings with wood. And
Yeah.
this girl stood there, and from behind her back she pulled this piece of wood and she cut away all the sides of it. And I mean, okay, it wasn't brilliant, but you could see there was an effort there being put into making it look like a person.
Is she autistic?
100%.
Autistic, autism?
You know, there's so many things that we can pick up on, and I think this is what I'm trying to get over to you, is the fact that it isn't necessarily what a person says with their mouth. Their mouth is only there really to appease others. And,
well, I'm picking up as you're talking about this little girl, Brian. I'm picking up that she's a healer.
It will be.
She's a healer.
Yeah, I don't know.
With her hands.
I only met her for probably 3 or 4 minutes, so I don't really know much about her. But I know her mother, so consequently I'll get on to her and have a chat.
Well, yeah, you might introduce her to some Reiki.
Yeah, don't know about Reiki, but ordinary healing. I mean, what's the difference?
It's all the same. It's just got a different name. Yeah. You know why I got my Reiki degree or my Reiki certificates and my master's, Reiki master stuff, is because I've been a healer since I was just really small. And people don't understand when you say, I'm going to put my hands on you and pray for your health or to do a healing or to lay hands in prayer. And so, but people now understand the term Reiki. And it's a certificate to acknowledge what I already do. And for me, so it's a piece of paper to acknowledge that, yes, I am qualified to do what I've already been doing since, for 50 years.
Yeah, exactly. To be quite honest, as I say, I have got my Reiki 1. I've done that through Jeff Van Reagan.
Right, okay.
Terrific guy. I mean, I love him to bits. But as I say, I could not physically afford to be able to go on from there because you're looking up in the thousands, and I'm a pensioner.
No, it's not like that. I know he does his for like $30. Yeah. It's not in the thousands. For Jeff. No. Yeah, for me, I think level 2 is like $250, and
level 3 is up in the $500-600, and well, that's
right.
sort of money, to be honest, that we haven't got to be able to just push around when I can already do healing, and that's the way I looked at it. So
yeah,
it's just a different way of looking at things.
Yeah. When Reiki was first done, it was $10,000 per level, and then it was $100,000 for the master level. I mean, people had to sell their houses to do it.
But in all honesty,
but it's no longer. It's all so common anymore, and you can go to websites and they promise to tune you over the web. I don't actually do that. I don't believe that there's any distance, but I think there's a certain connection.
Mm-hmm. As I say, there is, I suppose there is a difference in the two between spiritual healing and Reiki. I've yet to find the difference. I know people who are now masters, and this particular lady, to be quite honest, she can't even heal her own children. So
yeah.
You think to yourself, well, what's the difference between the two except money? And that to me is not what I'm about.
It's people. Not integrous.
Yeah.
But as far as if somebody's going to book an hour or two, I do a Reiki session, and I also do spiritual counseling with it. It's usually a 2 to 3 hour session here at my home in my center. I have an upstairs studio apartment that I do it, and I have my Reiki room, and we have a guest room for certain other things and a private bathroom. But I still have to heat my space, and so it's not free. But I get $60 for the 3 hours, usually $60 US, which is not extremely much. And there's plenty of times, like when I did the classes with the crystal bowls, I know you and Polly both benefited, and that was free as part of the class.
It was beautiful stuff. I absolutely loved it. And
yeah.
As I say, it's an individual thing, all of it. I mean, let's face it, spiritualism is an individual thing, isn't it? It's how
it really is.
The attributes that you've got are yours. You can't share them with people. You can help people, but you can't share your attributes. You can only hope one day that they may plug into it and,
accept it within themselves.
Yeah, find their own peace. I just love peace and love.
Yeah. Now, I have been called in. I went to a class in Chicago one time with a guru, and he was quite fascinating. And while I was there, my people stepped in and said, he called himself a conduit, and he was able to just dump information through a tube or a funnel. And they called me an amplifier, and they said what I do is that I would amplify the gifts within another that they already have until they are able to understand them within themselves. That's an amplifier, just like on a musical instrument. It amplifies what you put into it or what is already there.
Yeah. See, now Scott has just put on there that healers need insurance and insurance companies ask for papers. Now, in all honesty, what do you gain out of it? The only person that gains out of it is the insurance companies, because they're taking money under false pretenses. Because, if people say that it's not true and it's not this, it's not, even governments won't recognise healers. So why the hell should an insurance company? All it is for is their own commercial viability. And,
I'm gonna butt in here for a second. There was something I saw in the news. I'm from Quebec, which is in Canada. I saw something on the news the other night that in Toronto now the hospitals have naturopathic healers that work through the hospital. So again, in Canada, that means that it's part of it's part of the package of health, and it's just expanding. But yeah, Scott's right. I have quite a few friends up in the UK, and they are healers, they are masters, they are in training, and they want to do what they've training to do. But the only way they can do it is they have to have insurance, because again, somebody will say, you healed me and you hurt me, and they're going to sue your, insurance. Mm-hmm. It's like, so it's a necessary thing. But again, also one thing you were saying, Ryan, is that it's expensive to take your courses in Reiki. I agree, it's expensive. I saw the price that Scott wrote in the UK, but you eventually, somebody always said that when the student is ready, the master will come. In the beginning, I didn't do Reiki. When I was in groups, I would send mom hugs, and that was the way I sent, my healing. And then my master, a gentleman, one day asked me, why don't I send Reiki? And I said, because I'm not trained in Reiki. Where I am, there's mostly Reiki was taught in French, if it was taught at all, because I'd never heard it before. In my area. And I looked into the prices, and yes, they're very expensive. Well, this gentleman turned out to be a Reiki master, and he offered me a deal. He said that he would tune me to level 2 on one condition. And, the mind kind of goes, okay, what's your condition, And all he said was that I had to give back, which is something I do automatically. But I got attuned to level 2, and I'm super, super grateful for what he did for me. the day will come that I will want to go to Master. And that time, when that comes, I like that condition too. And when that time comes, yes, I will pay for it. But for right now, my Reiki level 2 is also got a little Mama D kick to it, should we say. And it's not just the standard thing. Everybody, this is my view, okay? Everybody trained as a Reiki practitioner, whether you have a 1-2 master, grandmaster, whatever the case may be, you're taught this way. But everybody adds their own little spice. It's like a bowl of spaghetti, pot of spaghetti. Everybody's given the same ingredients. 10 people are given the same ingredients to make up a spaghetti. It just depends on what you add, what you don't add, and how much you add. So everybody adds their own little oomph, their own little magic touch to it. So it's the same, but different. So nobody can say, well, you have to do it this, and this, and this way. When it was originally discovered, or rediscovered as the case may be, Usui did it one way. But he changed his ways as he went along. And his students changed their ways as they went along. So there's nobody does it the original way, because everybody makes a slight change, and not in 32 flavors of healing. I like that one. Nobody does it the same way. It's like no medium works in the same way. No psychic works in the same way. So true. For me, when took me a while to learn that one, trust me. For me, I was blessed to have my master come into my life and offer this to me. And he's still around, and he pokes his head and goes, "How's it going?" And it's like, "Okay, I'm fine." We have conversations. Yeah. But he also allows me that when I have questions, I can go back to him. But I think it was the most amazing thing when he offered me that, because that doubting little mind kind of went, yeah, okay, what are the conditions, right? Nah, but it wasn't, but you have to find those people. You have to be okay with the hot fudge people. Okay, you have to be ready for that. I wasn't ready for it, but I wasn't ready for Reiki, but I was open to things. I was open to learning. I was open. Every time I listen to somebody, I'm listening to Rhonda, I listen to Brian, I listen to Jenna, I listen to everybody. And sometimes I actually don't talk. And I catch things, and it's like my little sponge brain is going, it's something that I can, don't you start, Scott. It's something I can learn from, and it's just, okay, I'm shutting up now. Oh, okay. Don't even start.
I do the Reiki. I first, like I said, when I was little, it must have been some kind of a teleportation or something like that. Because when I'd go to sleep at night, my mom would receive phone calls from a friend who was sick and say, "Well, thank you for sending Rhonda over because I feel so much better." And my mom would run to my room and find I was still there. But in whatever whether it was in their dream state, they said, "No, it wasn't a dream." And I'm like, "Well, that's okay." And my mom that's one place she never complained about me doing, was healing or any kind of, and none of us understood it at all. And I didn't think it was anything. I was just sleeping. Yeah. And so what I figured is I probably just took off in my sleep and, manifested somewhere and did whatever and then went home. So it's time to wake up, girls. But when I was raised in the Mormon church, and they did laying on of hands. And so I always wanted to do that. Being a female, we weren't allowed. I believe that they do allow it now for females. I got my Reiki, my first degree Reiki, I believe it was in 2000. I got the second degree in 2002, and I got my master, I think, in 2004. In 2004 also, I learned pyramids of light healing. In 2006, I learned quantum touch and therapeutic touch and tapping and, so what you're saying is everything all comes together, and you bring in each moment what it is that is needed, and you don't have to say, okay, now I'm going to do Reiki, now I'm going to do some quantum touch, now I'm going to do this or that or whatever. Mm-hmm. You just say, you're signing up for a Reiki session.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't divide it any longer.
Because word Reiki is more well known now. Like over in Europe, in Spain, I saw something on Facebook that they have a healing session before they go into surgery, you know, and I thought that was totally awesome. Yeah, and I was watching that and I was like, that's what we need to have. When my husband was ill, I had done my level 2 and I was doing healing on him. But when my husband got ill and he had to go to the hospital, I went to the hospital to visit him and I went to do Reiki on him. And he was like, they're going to see you. I said, I don't care. You know, I was at that point where I didn't give a hoo-ha what anybody thought or said about me. I used to, you know, think, oh my God, what are people going to think? But I didn't do that anymore. And he's like, yeah, well, you know, they may appreciate it. And I said, look at me. I said, does this face look like it gives a shit what anybody says? Sorry, but you know.
And you must be over 50.
Yeah, I am.
Because you don't care anymore, and then you can really open up.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
And I started, and his nurse came in, and she looked at me, and she goes, are you doing Reiki? I went, yes. She goes, oh, okay. And she just backed out of the room, she turned the light off, and she left us. And my husband was kind of like, wow. I said, yep. I said, it's not as strange as we thought that it could be. It's more out there, because we live in a small town. Most people talk about these things. But you know what I found out? When I started talking about it, people go, I've heard of that. Isn't that like some kind of energy healing? So, yeah, some people get it as energy. Some people just get it as Reiki, but hey.
Now, here in the States, all nurses do a course as part of their curriculum if they're going to be like a registered nurse, which is the higher level of nurse. They all have to go through a course on some of the, what do they call it, alternative medicine treatments. Okay. And Reiki is one of those. They will discuss it. It's a one-day course. It's not that they are getting their attunements, but they are learning about it as part of their nursing school. All massage therapists in the States also have to do the same one-day introduction, I think is what we'd call it. Okay. Scott, my dad, I told him I'd send him some Reiki. He said, I don't want none of that voodoo crap you do. That's my dad. So, yeah, it's going to always be a contention until we really are able to wake this world up. But that is coming, and I don't think we're very far, maybe 2 years. I don't think that it's very far at all. Now, after that 2 years, then we're going to have a time where people are going to really be learning, and there're going to be really a lot of teachers and a lot of interest, and which is going to bring in a lot of other, integrity. And that's when we're going to have the more, listen to the heart, look to the heart instead of to the words, because that's when we're going to really need to know who is authentic in the work that they're doing and who is more out there just for the dollar or to cause problems.
Yeah, it has been proven now, hasn't it? A woman was going in for a major operation, and one of the nurses there kept on telling her, or doing healing and putting into her that she will not bleed a lot, she will not, feel any pain, she will be, perfectly okay. The woman came out and she was, what do they call it, hemophiliac, bleed a lot. And the bleeding was virtually nothing. As they said, it was unreal that a person who is diagnosed as being a hemophiliac just didn't bleed. She'd managed in her own mind and been put through by the healing side of things that, she was able to control it herself. So surely this begs the question that people can control their own body And
Yeah.
if the belief is there, then we as healers, whether it be Reiki or whether it be spiritual, it matters not. The idea is to get through to the person to be able to do the thing for themselves and help. And that's all I've ever done, is help people. And because that belief then takes over, or their belief takes over then and actually cures them of the problem. But see, this is it. It's all contentious, isn't it?
Yeah, but then there also comes into the second part of that, Brian, where just because I believe it doesn't mean I have given myself permission to be able to do this. And that's a whole other factor.
Yeah, it is.
To be okay with it and to give yourself permission to have that ability or permission to do this or that. Permission to be a little bit different than somebody else. We're so conditioned to follow.
Scott wrote in there, that can also be attributed to and possible with hypnotherapy.
Exactly the same
Scott,
thing.
I agree.
Scott, by the way, is a hypnotherapist.
Is he?
Is he?
Yes.
I'm studying some hypnotherapy, but I don't have the focus for it.
I'd love to be able to do hypnotherapy, believe me. It's something I've often thought about, and I thought, well, no, to be quite honest, I'd hate to control other people's minds. It's, I don't mind fishing in there for a bit, find out what's going on, but to actually control them is a bit...
That's actually really true, Scott and Brian, yeah. There's so much. Leo.
Says, put in the chat room, but how would you go about starting to do something like that? I've tried doing one thing or other to help control my body with my mind, but I just haven't seen much success. Scott puts in, control isn't a good word. There is no control involved.
Leo might be one of the people or the reason that I'm saying that giving yourself permission to believe in what you're feeling. I mean, because I was specifically led to use that phrase, to give yourself permission. I had a woman one time who was coming out here quite a bit, and, you know, I don't charge extraordinary amounts. And some people, you know, it's not within their belief system to pay a healer, and I don't turn people away. But she needed a lot of guidance, and so she would take me to lunch. Am I there?
Yeah.
Okay. She would take me to lunch, and we'd have these major discussions. And she was talking about her daughter and why her daughter was 24 years old and refusing to grow up. And I asked her one day, I said, have you ever given her permission? She said, well, I've told her to grow up. It's time for her to grow up. She's 24. She's never going to leave the house. She's never going to get married. So I said, I want you to go home, and I want you to tell her, I give you permission to grow up. Yes, you're my baby. You will always be my baby, but you are not a baby anymore, and you have permission to grow up. Do you know that girl, the next day, she was grown up. Within a year, she had found the love of her life. Within 2 years, she was married, and in 3 years, they were having a family. It's permission for her, and I believe that could be the same thing for you, Leo.
Yeah. Give yourself the permission.
Yeah, this is not mainstream. It is not what everybody believes or does. If you're involved in a church who would tell you that this is not okay, or that if you allow this kind of thing, or if you think you can control your body or your mind, if you think that hypnosis or meditation is going to help you, you're nuts and you're going to hell. I know a lot of churches do that. They say that yoga is the devil's work. I'm sorry, it's a wonderful stretch. I don't do it, but it's good for a lot of people. If you have any of those kind of mindsets or any of those kind of background beliefs, then that's something you're going to have to look at for yourself specifically. Where do I limit myself and not allow myself to be healthy or to be well? When you look at that, you're going to find your trigger, and then you can work on your trigger instead of on what is really the result of what's happening with your body. Another thing is, yeah, Jackie, I did too. I had to quit going. I had to quit going for my own health and well-being, my peace of mind. One of the things that we find with healing is I have a different client, and she's a wonderful woman. I love her very much. But she cannot get any rest or any peace if she's not sick and laying in bed near death's door. Her kids call on her constantly. Her husband complains if she doesn't have dinner on the table. She has to be sick in order to take a break. And so she got very sick. I said, why don't you just learn to say no instead of getting so sick? And so now that's what she's working on. She's learning to speak up for herself. She's learning to say no. She's learning to take control of her life and her environment. What about a woman who's never had flowers from her husband or from anybody in her life unless she was in the hospital? Well, don't you think that if you wanted flowers, you'd go to the hospital more often?
Leo wrote, it's not, whoops, he just moved. Hang on, everybody, stop typing so I can read. It's not so much that I doubt myself. I'm not sure what it is. I know that I'm a bit out of touch with my feelings. One of the reasons a biological thing in my brain. I've never thought about permission, about anything. I feel like I just do things when I want to.
Okay. I would still say if there's something that you're getting out of it or that you're not giving yourself permission, just spend a day or two and meditate about that if you're willing. And I think that, if you know somebody who can, and you can afford to do a session, a healer, a hypnotherapist, a shrink that is more
open
on the integrative medicine side, whatever it is that would work for you and allow you to feel peaceful about doing what you need for yourself.
I think you'd have to discern also whether your thoughts are right or wrong. I think it's more a matter of deciding what is good for you and what is not so good for you. You say you just do it. Is this just an uncontrolled mind, or is it more a matter of what you personally want to do? I mean, there's so many ways of looking at it. I think that it's, I don't know, I've never been in that position, so I think it's very, very difficult.
I think one of the things is Leo needs to allow himself to be himself.
Uh-huh.
Stop being afraid. Stop being afraid. Hey, there's my Leo. Stop being afraid to be that little bit of ray of sunshine that you are to me, but to yourself.
Well, I think it's a lot to do with your upbringing. I mean, I was never allowed to think for myself, to be quite honest. I was always just told what to do, and even up to when I'd done my apprenticeship, I wanted to do something totally different, but my father had already made up his mind what I was going to do. I went along with it, and to be quite honest, he gave me 50 years of repairing sewing machines that always brought in a living. The things that I wanted to do, I wanted to be an aircraft mechanic, didn't work out that way, so would I have been any better off? Also, how much of it is down to the fact of how spirit is literally either treating you or guiding you towards. Was I meant to be a sewing machine mechanic? And from there I've learned so much more. It really is a dodgy question. There's so many ways of looking at things, and you can't look at it as other people do.
Leo, I asked. Oh, I'm sorry. Honey,
Leo is
done talking.
Leo is on mic, so if you want to talk, honey, go for it.
Okay. Leo, I asked my guides, What was your biggest hindrance in this healing that you're looking for? And I received the word self-doubt. So that's going to be something to look at. Before anything, it's going to be self-doubt. It's going to be to look and give yourself permission and then believe that it's possible. Self-doubt limits us in everything. There is nothing that we can do if we've already convinced ourselves that we can't. Because all we'll do, if we've already made the decision that we can't, all we're going to do is everything that we try will prove to us again and again that we can't. And until we change that can't to a maybe and let a little bit of light in on that, then it's going to be in your mind. We will set up for ourselves, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. We will set up for ourselves the circumstances that will keep our decision, I can't, in play. Do you understand that?
Say that again, Leo. I don't think you're mic'd up.
Your mic's not working, mate.
Your mic's not working, sweetie. Nope. You're going to have to type.
I don't see anybody's cameras, so...
Well, Leo is cammed up, but no, we can't hear you, Leo. Change the mic.
Say something, buddy.
Again?
Still not working.
No, sweetie.
Should I I'm going to give it a try. Hang on, okay? Mama D, will it work if I refresh?
No, it's not you, sweetheart. You want to go back on camera? Yeah, you can refresh your camera.
No, I don't need to go on camera. I just, somebody said to see his hair. I can't see anybody's cameras.
Okay, his hair is an absolutely gorgeous blue.
Okay, I'll be right back. Well, I'm not going anywhere because I'm on the phone, right?
Right.
Oh, oops. Okay.
Oh,
Silly.
You're supposed to be
there it goes. Leo, say that again. What the heck just happened? Hang on a second. One more time.
You're muting me.
There we go.
We've got you now, mate.
Touchdown.
Hello. I
Hello.
have my microphone turned off up here, so I think I'm going to have to turn it on.
That's help.
Your microphone, just turn it off and just turn your camera on.
Is that my headphones? Viewers muted.
Just when it's that, just turn off your headphones. Do that little headphone thingy. Exit, close it, whatever the heck you want to call it. Click on your headset. Thank you.
Okay.
Click on the headset.
Okay. Say hello, Leo.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
Apparently better now that everybody can hear me.
Yay!
I love the vibration of your voice. My heart's filled. Feels good. Can you take a nice deep breath for me? Leo?
What was that? What?
Take a nice deep breath for me. And just release it. Well, I got the smile anyway. Hello?
Oh.
Hi. What was it you wanted to say?
Mostly I was just sick of typing, but I have, I've tried different things in the past. Like, I've been to counselors ever since I was probably 12. And by the time I was about 17, I think I just ended up giving up because I found somebody who I clicked with finally when I was like 15 or so, and she was working for a while. I don't know. I didn't feel like I was getting much out of it.
Was there a specific moment that brought that? Was there an argument or I feel like there was an episode that led it to the I'm not getting anything out of this and I'm done.
It wasn't really anything specific, like an episode or a thing. It was just, I know I'd been seeing her for probably 6 months or so every week. And we'd talk for sometimes like hours on end. When I was younger, I had problems talking to people, so I'd write everything down in a journal, and when I went there, I'd just read it to her, and then we'd talk, and slowly I'd be able to get more comfortable.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know, I feel like even now I've just been able to work through my problems better by myself than with.
Okay. Well, one thing we can do is just acknowledge that she was able to help you in order to speak up for yourself. That's a big deal. I told you I've got the woman who always has to get sick in order to take a day off. And I've been working with her for, unfortunately, almost 6 years. It's not weekly and it's not regular, but it has been a long time for her to come to a place where she is finally able and willing to say, no, I don't want to do that. I need sleep, and you're going to go away. So each person is going to have a different speed. I think somebody said up here that healing doesn't happen automatically. It's not a one-time thing. And let me see. Another thing to point out is that healing is usually not an overnight thing. This is Jenny Satori. When I do healing, I lead people to what they need in that moment in order to heal. I'm ad-libbing right there when I say in that moment, because I know that to be true. She says, next, don't lose heart. It might be already working. One of the first things you need to do, Leo, from Scott, is allow yourself to allow the possibility of change. I say amen to that. That is so perfect. Jenny, perfect. Let me see. He may be using the wrong, never mind. Let me see. That's my headset. Okay. I think I'm back on the same page with you guys now. But anyway, Leo, one of the biggest things, and I think for you, it's going to be to allow yourself permission to move on to that next step. So many times that we, and this happens for healers, it happens for anybody, it's an energetic thing. We have to get to a point, we rise to a certain level, and then we hit a plateau. You have to stay on that plateau for a certain amount of time in order to integrate everything that has come before that. And until that integration is complete, you cannot move forward. You can't go up the next step. It's like you've got to finish kindergarten before going on to the sixth grade is what I was just told. I don't get that. But it's difference between playing in the sandbox, being in grade school, and then moving on to middle school. So if you're now allowing, and you can now speak for yourself, you have just finished grade school. I don't know what your grade levels work like. Our grade levels, our junior high starts in 6th grade. So once you move up to junior high, 6th grade, 6th sense. Thank you. Good. Once you move into junior high, you're ready for a whole new set of lessons and a whole new way of being. Do you understand that?
Kind of. I
Okay.
got the general idea of it. I'm just not sure how to look at it, perspective of my own life.
Yeah, some of this stuff is just so abstract. You really have to look at it. You have to integrate it. You have to live with it for a little while. And that, again, will be another plateau. When you have that integrated, you'll move on to that next level. My body is vibrating so high right now when I'm talking to you about this. I know I'm right on. Okay? So you have spent a long time on this plateau, and you're going to have to give yourself permission and acknowledge within yourself that it is a possibility. The self-doubt is still going to be the word that you have to work on. You have to release your own self-doubt, and nobody can do that for you. People can talk to you about it. But when you were working with that counselor, she can't do anything for you. None of us can. It's all going to be stuff that you're doing for yourself, and we can walk you through it. We can lead you up to it, but you're the one who has to take yourself onto the next level. You have to do the homework, and you are the one who gets all the credit. And if you are not getting the credit, oh my God, here, look, oh, my head is going to just like blow up. You guys, if you could see this right now. Okay, what was I saying, please, somebody? You have to do the work, and you have to pass the final exam. Nobody can do it for you. Okay, now if your counselor was telling you that it was she who was doing the work, if she's getting the credit and you're not getting the credit, if you're not giving yourself the credit, honey, you're really missing out. And my heart hurts for that.
Yeah,
you did the work. You learned to speak for yourself. You are the one that's going to take you to the next level when you are ready.
There's no good leaving it to other people, Leo. It's inside your head that any changes that come from you. Other people, I mean, they've tried over the last 1,000 years to try and influence people. It's only really with torture that you can get other people to think your way, and that is not what we're about. You have to do the work. You have to really step up to the line and say, right, I'm here, I'm going to do it. So, fill your boots, mate.
I'm pointing out to everybody right now that to look at the light in your face. If you have a mirror, just look at it. Your light, your face is just shining so much brighter. It's like you accepted some responsibility and some application to your own life. And it's okay. Okay? All right, honey. God bless you. I want to give you a big hug. I just really just want to give you a giant hug. So thank you. Thank you for asking, because that was really beautiful and it was very intense, and I'm so happy it happened. And I wasn't yelling, by the way, anybody. I get intense.
Oh, dear. All right.
Okay.
Mama, you were going to say?
Gotta unmute myself. I said, as Scott wrote in the chat room, whoops, somebody typed. Now I got lost it. We all doubt ourselves. I'm sure all of us in here have been in time, I'm not worthy or good enough. Some of us still do. Ooh, Leo, you're a damn young man. Oops, gone. Wait till you get old and crickety, just like this. still have self-doubt.
Careful, woman. Dangerous ground there.
I didn't. I'm just reading what Scott said. I didn't say he. Scott's the old and crickety one. I didn't say.
I remember so well when I received. I work with the Ascended Masters, of which Jesus is one, and he came to me one day, and I was okay with Archangel Michael speaking to me and with Mother Mary speaking to me. But when Jesus came in, I couldn't speak. I was crying. I couldn't write. I told him I couldn't handle it. I wasn't worthy. I wasn't good enough. And so what he did He's so beautiful. He brought Lord Katumi, or Lord Kathumi. I don't know how people in different parts say it. To me, it's Lord Katumi. So he brought Lord Katumi to me, and I learned to work with the energy of Lord Katumi where I didn't have the knowledge of him. I didn't have the self-doubts and self-judgment. And there's a perfect example. Those self-doubts, I couldn't move forward when he was in the presence. Now, he was always here, but I didn't have to actually talk to him or allow him to talk to me or tell me that I was good enough until I was ready. And Lord Katumi brought me to that space. And now, whenever Jesus comes in, it's just a magical and beautiful moment. And it's been many years, 6 of them, I think, 6 or 7, that we've been working one-on-one. We had always been working one-on-one, but I wasn't so aware of the process.
I think really that self-doubt is the thing which everybody suffers from. I mean, I did for many, many, many years. You always think, well, am I making this up in my mind? And am I going to get it wrong? Do I dare tell people, what I'm being given by Spirit? I've always put it down to intuition. It's how you can evaluate your own attributes. And that's about all I've ever come to be honest, because I'm still very much self in doubt.
I think a little bit of doubt in everybody's good.
Yeah, I have my moments of doubt, but mostly I just know that what comes out, and I'm not holding on to or judging what comes out. Yeah. I hope it's taken properly. I hope it's received in a good way. Before I come on here or before I do a session, I do a lot of prayers, and I ask God to hold my tongue where it's need be. And when I start swearing, I know that it's because that's how this person is going to understand the message. Mm-hmm. Okay? Or when I start getting really excited, it's not just me, it's the whole energy moving forward in order to capture the attention and get you to really come into that place of believing. If your heart wasn't affected, your face would not have become so affected by it. And it was beautiful. Still is.
Yeah, I think Karine is right there. You've got to sort of balance it between knowing that you're good and knowing that you could still make mistakes. I think there's that is the balance, and I think a lot more people should use that as a criteria or a benchmark. I'm afraid I was always one that worked on the lower end of the scale. I've never been good enough, and consequently, I mean, yes, okay, you still get to the position in the end, but you always got that self-doubt in your mind. My thoughts.
Don't actresses always say, actors and actresses, that if they ever stop getting butterflies, they'll stop working? Because if they're not nervous before a show, then they're not doing it right.
Yep. Singers do that too. Oh, Scott's gotten a writing. Another thing to think about, Leo, is if you met someone who had been through what you had been through and they spoke of themselves as you do, would you agree with them and verbally beat them up too? Or, as I suspect, would you speak to them with empathy and compassion? Speak to them gently and supportively. So, matey, speak to yourself as gently as you would to that person and watch for the changes too. Little steps. The first being allowing the possibility of change, and then speaking gently to yourself. Huggles. That's hugs.
Beautiful.
That's very nice. Thank you very much. It's worth thinking about, in all honesty, Scott.
Well, we ran a little bit over time, and I hope nobody had any plans. So
I'm sorry, Jenny.
we have the time. We're allowed to go till 9 o'clock, I think.
I actually smell dinner cooking, and I'm starving. So.
All right. So then we will call it a great show. I think this was awesome. I thank you very much, Rhonda, for coming on, and know that you are welcome back anytime. And
thank you.
And Brian, you stepped out of the box real good tonight, but now I'm gonna still keep pushing you further. Even Leo plotting, yay! And Leo, as I said, sometime in the month of November, I'm going to have, are you listening to me, Corrine? I'm going to have a poetry night. Spiritual poetry and or otherwise. I know I have a lot of poets who will be adding their, yes, Jenny, I think I know of another one who might be adding. I just don't know if I'm allowed to call her out of the closet or not. Nah, Jenny, sorry. Okay, fine. Sorry, you did that. So. You can't hide from me. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. This was an awesome show. I am so pleased and proud of everybody. Thank you for your input. Scott, thank you so much for being here. I hope you get to come back and so stay awake. God only knows. Wait a minute. What time?
Jenny Satori, thank you very much for your input, love. Without you, we'd all be buggered.
Without Jenny, period, this would never have happened. So, to my great wizard of IntuiTalks, thank you, darling.
She's beautiful. Thank you very much, Mama and Jenny.
Jennifer, thank you. Yes, I love you too, Leo. All right, sweeties, I'm about to turn off the recording, and night, everybody.
Night, everybody.
Good night. Catch you later.
Good night, and thank you all for having me. And thank you for some really wonderful questions.